Good morning, everybody from Starkey Farmstead. So today I just wanted to go over some things I do on the farm to naturally worm not just my husband and I, but all of our animals. Okay, people used to understand this concept. When you're dealing with lots of animals, okay, in small areas, the chances of you coming in contact with a parasite, the chances of them coming in contact with a parasite goes up. Your chances go up by the more animals that you have in your vicinity, okay? Now, I live in Southeast Louisiana. One of our biggest issues here would be tapeworm, okay? It is prominent. So if you watch the video at the very end, I'll tell you a natural Native American treatment for tapeworm that will kill the tapeworm. It will kill it while it restabilizes your animal's guts with a prebiotic, a natural way to do it. My dad gave me a book called Nature's Medicines by Richard Lucas. I advise, if you haven't never read this book, you don't know what I'm talking about. It is an old book, guys. It's an old book. I show you a picture, but they keep hitting me with copyright claims because I try to show you what I'm using, and obviously I'm new at the YouTube thing. So I'm learning. I can't show you the book, though I am holding it. It's an amazing book. I have thumbed through it, written in it, employed several of the remedies in it on my homestead, in my personal life. When I was going through the massive reconstructive surgery in my mouth, as they were removing the necrotic bone, as they were removing the teeth that I had spent, $20,000 capping after root canals in my 30s, and the bacteria got up in those caps and then up into the bone of my face, we hit a real wall with my health. Like, I was becoming extremely ill. And so removing all of that was the only way to save my leg, my right leg. So I tell you that for two reasons. One, I hope that you can always understand me. Sometimes I will lisp. And other times, you're going to find that you're ill in your body and it's coming out of your mouth. Now, it can be really hard and kind of traumatic if you let it, to have all your teeth removed at any stage in your life. But guys, your mouth is very important. And any kind of infection in the tooth, any kind of mercury in your tooth leaches back into your bloodstream. Both of those will leach back into your bloodstream. And it can make you sick. And it'll be the last place that they actually look for illnesses in other parts of your body. So that's just a free tip. If you're having a lot of trouble with your teeth, get them taken out. I still am not at a stage where I can wear dentures yet. I'm still looking at massive gum reconstruction, but I'm okay with that. It's life, Got to take those lemons, make yourself lemonade. But I just wanted to go over some of the things that you can do in situations. So that's how I learned about COMFREY, was my personal battle with disease and 7 massive reconstructive gum surgeries and tooth removals in my mouth. And they were taking out bone, all through there, taking out the ridge lines of the gums. I was being cut from here over on the bottom ridge every other week for like 7 months straight. It was absolutely horrendous. We hit a point where it would not heal any longer. So because the skin was just what they called frayed. It was just fragile. It had been pulled and tugged and cut so many times. So I got this book from my dad. He had given it to me to read while I was, convalescing. And what I found was COMFREY. So I bought the plant. I got it in the ground. As the leaves began to grow, I would cut it and lay those leaves across where all the stitches were, and just let it stay in my mouth for hours, just along where all the stitches were. The doctors were amazed. They literally told my husband and I they'd never seen anybody heal that quick after that many multiple surgeries. My dad got crushed by a tree. I brought COMFREY to the hospital. These big, huge leaves, y'all. Walked in, and the nurses from like Germany, she wasn't being rude. She said, "Can I just ask you, what are you doing?" Because I was heating up warm water and pouring them over the leaves, and then taking really hot water, heating up these towels that were in his bathroom in the hospital room, and wrapping those leaves around the areas of his foot, his leg, and his forearm that were broken. Couldn't obviously do the back, because he was in a brace and laid down. But I could work with what I could. And I said, well, ma'am, COMFREY used to be known as BONESET. And I'm doing all that I can to help my, at the time, 78-year-old father heal from multiple shattered bones. Guys, you see the videos. You see my dad walking around, he'll tell you straight up. Like, there's no medicine that can get in your body, make your bones knit back together when you're 78 years old. But COMFREY wrapped around areas with, like when he got home, I would wrap it with plastic wrap, saran wrap, right? I would take a hot rag, put the COMFREY against the skin, the hot rag against the COMFREY, and I would saran wrap my father, like, around his back, everything. Like, my mother was like, what are you doing? But she knew to let me do it, right? I really feel like the Holy Spirit led me at those times. He used those moments of tragedy in our family to lift me to an area where I was brave enough to begin treating my own animals without the added expense of multiple medications that have toxic side effects, okay? A lot of our medicines are being filled and made in other countries. We don't know what they're putting in it. Think about the baby food scare and all the massive lawsuits for all these stomach medicines that had like arsenic and lead and mercury in the fillers of those medications being made in these other countries. So when things are made overseas, there's not a lot of oversight. They put a lot of oversight on us here in America, but not when it's overseas. That's why our major corporations move their companies there, to get away with that. So if you can get away from pharmaceutically bought medicines, especially in this day and time, where people are being turned away from treatments and can't fill their medications because, you know, supply chain issues and the cost of those things are just quadrupling, right? Because they're trying to break us. They're trying to break us. So we fight back with knowledge, because knowledge is power, guys, and it is free. It is free. So if you're starting a homestead, a hobby farm, or if you just have a couple of animals on your property and you're just looking for ways to be able to give them their best life, to keep them as healthy as possible, I advise for you to pick up that book, Nature's Medicines by Richard Lucas. I'm not even sure where you would find it, y'all. My dad found this in a secondhand bookstore, and this, I want to say, I couldn't really even find a copyright in it. I mean, it's old, but it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, find you books that were written before pharmaceutical companies got into studies, all right? Because once they got their hands into scientific studies and into our universities, most of the things you find now are skewed. The results are skewed, and we're finding that more and more as people debunk these scientific studies and papers that are being published. Like, you have to almost go back to the 60s, all right, to really get any kind of real knowledge that hasn't been purchased and bought and set up to be what somebody else wants it to be. So just use your head. Enjoy the video. This is a really quick recipe that you can make in your kitchen with herbs out of your cooking cabinet, right? Your seasoning cabinet, your herb supply. Or you can grow them naturally in your own garden. If you're in Louisiana, you can probably grow most of these 9 or 10 months out of the year. All right. So you guys enjoy the video. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to hear. I've met several people who naturally worm their goats, their cows, their dogs. I love to hear other people's recipes and why that they choose certain herbs. Play with it. If you use it in moderation, chances are you're not going to hurt anything. The Bible says all things in moderation. So enjoy this tutorial. In this mixture, I just used white rice because it's all I had last night. I've told y'all before, the best rice to feed your chickens is, of course, your whole grain rice. But this is what I had, and I'm always talking about that. Use what you have on hand. So what I make my own organic homemade apple cider vinegar. No, this is not for you. Leave it. And so what I did was I mixed a little bit of that apple cider vinegar into this rice. I added a little bit of habanero sauce, like 2 drops, guys. It's just a natural wormer. It's not going to hurt your chickens. I put some ground cloves. I put some organic flaxseed, which is a great prebiotic. Really good for you, your animals, your chickens. Just gets that gut bacteria heading in the right direction, along with that apple cider vinegar. I also have a little bit of ground basil. I have just a little bit of cumin. I have a little bit of, I think the other thing that I put in here was like an oregano. Yes, a ground oregano. All these herbs were up in my, up in my cabinet. I cook with them. It's also a way to worm animals. During the year, 4 times a year, every 3 months, the German Shepherd, the Dachshund, all the chickens, all the rabbits, my husband and I and our kids all get wormed with pumpkin seeds. I grind them up, shells and all. I don't de-shell them. I grind them up. I mix them in everybody's food. I cook it for us, but for the animals, it just gets mixed into whatever they're going to eat that night. Great way, guys, to treat for tapeworm. Look it up. Pumpkin seed will actually kill tapeworms, where in today's world, most medications won't even touch them. It stuns them. It paralyzes them. They'll poop out a good bit of it, but the tapeworm itself is still alive, still thriving inside of your animal's guts. So that's just something for you to think about. That is a tip from Pawpaw Sammy, because I called him when the German Shepherd got tapeworm when he was 7 months old. It almost killed him. Almost killed him. Lost 15 pounds. So one time in his life that I actually broke down and took him to a vet for medical care, and the medicine they gave him only made him sicker. I mean, it made him sicker. And I called my dad crying. Said, I'm going to lose him. 7 months old, y'all. I said, I'm going to lose him. He said, no, you're not, honey. Look up what Louisiana Indians, Biloxi Indians did to treat tapeworm, saying you have it in your garden. Guys, that knowledge and wisdom that come from the older people in our lives, we can't replace that. We can't replace that. Pumpkin seeds saved that German Shepherd. Pumpkin seeds. And look at him now, 2.5 years old, and he's thriving. So that's all I'm going to say. The proof is directly in front of you. You can worm your animals with the herbs that are in your garden, the seeds that are in your garden, and the ones that are in your cabinet in your kitchen. You guys have a blessed day. Time to feed the chickens and worm them, and then I have to head to church.